everyone, it's Pauline here. I want to give you some understanding of the new preschool curriculum. I'm so excited to share it with you, and I think in just a few moments here you'll see why it's going to be so amazing and such a great fit for our program. But first, let's start with the scope and sequence. And scope and sequence just tells us the projection of the preschool program, how it fits with what we're already doing, and what the natural progression would be, which is the sequence. So the first thing we'll start out with is prayer. I'm teaching the daily habit of prayer, learning to pray with thanksgiving, modeled by teacher, and students are encouraged to pray, and oh, how sweet their little prayers are. Bible, throughout 2s and 3s, the students will learn Bible stories, such as the Old Testament, the New Testament, and holiday stories, like the story of Jesus being born, Easter, and Thanksgiving. They'll learn Bible songs, preschool level, as well as patriotic songs. Verse memory, there'll be very tiny short verses, but they'll be praising Jesus from memory, which is so great. And this is all built into the curriculum. It tells you, just like you've always expected from a curriculum, what to do each day. It doesn't leave you hanging. There'll be skill development, such as fine motor, that's pre-writing, learning to color crayons. We have crayons and pencils that have the triangular shape, which is great for them learning to hold it correctly. We also have the sandpaper letters and numbers. They trace the letters in sandpaper, as most of them are not ready to trace letters. Hand-eye coordination, gluing objects, and possibly learning how to cut, just depending on the maturity of the child, if they're ready for that kind of fine motor skills. There'll also be gross motor coordination. That's pretty natural playground play. But games, following the leader, body control, tossing a beanbag, identifying objects in a bag by touch, and then finger play poems, which are like Mother Goose, or just really great poems. And they have hand motions to them, which are super fun. We'll be working on social and emotional, which is like choices of toys, sharing, dramatic play, dancing, music, pretend play with puppets, manners such as please and thank you, and helping clean. Cognitive development, sorting puzzles, peekaboo, sensory play like finger painting, crafts and Play-Doh, sand and water, outdoor walks, nature like collecting leaves and finding treasures outside, and reading nursery rhymes and storybooks. One of the big things we'll be working on is language development, so lots of talking. We're always demonstrating proper speech, no baby talk. There'll be, again, the poetry, the finger plays and Mother Gooses, literature, excellent board books, beautifully written with excellent pictures that teach wonderful lessons and inspire, as well exposing them to new words and big ideas throughout the year with literature, books, and language. And then we even have language development cards that prompt us each week to discuss new different things, like a woodpecker, or Arctic animals, or just firefighters, just different things, adding to their vocabulary and creating really great discussions. Through the language development cards, we'll learn manners, colors, numbers, animals, shapes, community helpers, science, geography, character development, food, and health. We'll also do a little bit of academic, and some of the kids are ready for that. I know for my Elisheva, she learned how to count when she was 2. She learned all of her colors when she was 2, and now at 3, she's wanting to count more, especially, and she's starting to want to say the sounds of letters. Like she said, "Mommy, your name is P for Pauline, and it just like blew my mind. Like, where did she even hear that? She's picking it up and hearing it. I don't even know whoever told it to her, but wasn't me. So she's ready for a little more. And so I think that's great that we can have a program that can support those that are ready, and those who are not can listen and take what they can get out of it. But we've got things for the ones who are ready for a little more. So they'll be in their academic time, which will be just short, just little bits for them, but it's something. They'll be learning the alphabet. So this is just for the 3s. 2s will, of course, be listening because they're in the room, but the 3s are the ones who start getting into phonics. So we use those sandpaper letters and the animal alphabet flashcards, where there's a little song, and they teach the introduction of letters followed up by a phonics sheet. That's, again, just for the 3s. And again, 2s will be introduced in hearing them, and then next year when they're 3, they'll go a little deeper with their understanding. 3s will begin to recognize each letter, shape, and sound. Numbers we will do for both 2s and 3s. Numbers are just so much more readily available, I think, for both levels. So 2s will do them as well. 2s will learn to count, And we will count from 1 to 25 as kind of like the goal for 2s. And if they aren't ready for that, that's perfectly fine. 3s will learn to count from 1 to 30. Number recognition, 2s we're hoping to recognize numbers 1 through 10. And I have seen that progression with Alicia. She definitely knows that she's 3 years old and she can find a 3 on a paper and tell you that's a 3. So she's starting to recognize numbers. 3s our goal is to recognize 1 through 15. All of them will learn the proper sequence of counting order, which number comes next after the other. And we'll do that a lot through counting objects. Motor skills will be part of our scope and sequence, jumping and clapping to a given number of times, marching or hopping to a given number of times, coloring pictures. And for 3s only, in the 3-year-old curriculum, they'll start learning how to trace dot to dot. They're beginning to be able to do some very simple trace and follow dot to dots. In poetry, we're going to learn the skill of recitation through those really fun poems and finger plays. And again, this curriculum, it just boosts as I'm reading it and learning it and teaching it to myself, it just, to me, is the natural sequence of what I see Alicia doing. Like, she loves this one. It's a finger play that my mother-in-law taught her. And I learned it when I was a little girl, but maybe you've seen it, where you go like this and you say, this is the church, and this is the steeple. Here are the doors. You say, open them to see all the people. She loves that one. So poems and finger plays that are like that are worked into the curriculum, and they love them. And they'll benefit, doing the poetry helps them start to develop the use of appropriate expression, like how to say the poem and see all the people. That's the expression. They're gonna start learning that. And that's a really great skill, because a lot of times when students learn how to read in kindergarten, first and second, expression isn't there and they read very monotone. So learning that expression and how we say and recite things is a great thing to start at when they're able. And then they'll learn motor skills, of course, through the finger play and motions. Music, there'll be songs to memorize, and we've already been doing that. So this will just work in with what we're doing. And they'll be praising Jesus and learning songs about the alphabet, character, animal, colors, counting, family, and food. They will do art. So they'll have little crafts, which Alicia loves crafts. I don't know what your kids are like, but mine adore crafts. So she will love that. And they'll recognize in craft time, they're gonna learn their 8 basic colors and 4 shapes. And they will learn to apply proper color to the activity. So there might be, I'll just grab this one right here. So this is actually a numbers sheet, talking about how many donkeys there are, but you might on an art sheet see them outlined in brown, and then maybe a different portion is outlined in orange. And so we can talk about what colors they are and learning our colors as we're coloring, and following directions too. They'll learn to, this also, the art time will reinforce what they have already learned in language development. So it's one of the things I love is the whole curriculum is going to tie together. So they're never going to see a number they haven't learned, a letter they haven't learned. They're never going to talk about something. It all is going to relate together. This is one of the reasons why we buy well thought out curriculum, because such as in Memoria Press, how everything has just been already worked together for us, from the beginning to end, the same here. They'll do color glue, glitter glue. They could do glitter, but I like the glitter glue, is a little easier. They'll learn to color inside lines, and of course not all of them will be able to do that, but that is the start, is to, oh wow, like let's see how neatly we can do it and shade it this way and try and get it in the lines. We'll do finger painting and sponge painting. And just for 3s, we'll work on a little bit of comprehension by answering thinking questions and associating groups of objects with colors, learning how to fold, and even in art time, they'll begin learning some 3D object art, like a clothespin that they can make into a little inchy inchworm that they can put on the refrigerator with a magnet. So different things like that I think will be a lot of fun. So that is the scope and sequence. And now in this next video, I will teach you like what a normal daily lesson would look like. Okay, so this next series is going to be the teaching instruction to help give you comfortability with the new preschool curriculum, as well as just give you the ins and outs of it and showing you kind of how to use it. So the first thing we start with every day is Bible time. And your curriculum sheet is going to look like this. It tells you what to do each day. So you're just covering the Mondays, But a lovely part of the curriculum is that it comes with some take-home stuff. So in future, the students will probably just have consumable books that they will bring to class. But as this is kind of our beta testing year, we will have all the materials here and we'll just send them home with the additional worksheets. This curriculum is designed for more weeks than we do, so I have adjusted it to but redistribute the material so it works with what we're doing as well as the shorter time frame that we operate in. We were just a little bit shorter than what the curriculum called for. So, but the lovely thing about the taking home of sheets is this is something that some of the moms and I have been wanting. Is the little ones come to the table and they want some schoolwork too. And there just hasn't been a lot offered to us through Memoria Press for the 3-year-old age. And so we're resorting to like coloring pages or buying things that are really not meant for them, that are from the 4-year-old curriculum. So this is great because these sheets were designed with them in mind. So they'll have a little bit of something to do every day when you just need a little bit of independent time from them, so you can get some more focused time from your kindergartner or whichever age you're trying to get something done. You've got a worksheet that they can do at home. So we will begin with Bible. Bible is now all of this to expectations, right? That these guys are new to all of this. And this is true for any grade. It's new for everyone. The first day of school is new. And so there's going to be adjustment time. But what we are going to expect them to learn bit by bit is how to sit down and sit and listen with our ears and keep our mouths closed. And so that will take time. And we have grace, and there is totally time to learn that. They won't, maybe the twos won't even learn it all in 1 year, but maybe they will. So we're going to set the bar high and give them grace because they're toddlers, but also know that they may be able to. I have a lot of friends that go to churches where there is no Sunday school, and it's just expected that the children will sit and listen, and the moms get very good at training their children at home, starting small. They call it like blanket time, I think, and they'll have their toddlers sit on a blanket just for a few minutes, like maybe even just 1 minute. They start very small and build up to where they can go to their long Baptist services or whatever they go to, and their toddlers will sit and know to color and play and stay on the blanket. So these things can be done, and it's not that we're even asking that in our preschool room. We're not. It's going to be a lot of activity and fun. But for the very short, and these are very short Bible lessons, but for the very short lessons, they're going to learn that we want them to sit down and be quiet and listen so all the students can hear, and we're going to see pictures, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to set that kind of expectation and know that it's not going to happen on the first day, and that's okay. Okay, so we will begin with prayer, and in time you could even have the little different students pray. I know Alicia loves to pray, and the prayers are so cute and sweet, and God just loves them. So we'll begin with prayer, then we'll do a Bible song, and I will save you listening to me sing Jesus Loves Me. But we have this little CD called Little Ones Sing Unto the Lord, and it will tell you which track to do. The tracks are all listed on the back and which month that you'll be learning them in. Again, it's a little bit skewed because we will have a shorter amount of time than they're doing, like 37 weeks, and we'll only be doing 33. But you'll cover most of them. And so Jesus Loves Me is the first one. You'll put your song on, unless we have someone who'd like to play it on their keyboard. But otherwise, we'll just, if we don't have that, or it's a song that we don't know, we can always just pop it in. So I have a boombox down here, just a great $25 model that plays a CD, just what we need. And you'll have that in your classroom, and you can pop in Jesus Loves Me and sing, and they will love it. If you know the signs to Jesus Loves Me, or you can make signs up, the kids will love that all the more, because again, that's the finger plays. But Jesus loves me, this I know, and I'm making up some of these, for the Bible tells me so. And I would always do with my kids' little ones, and like lean down, little ones, to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. And you'll see the kids just staring at you with attention, and they're so interested in these motions you're doing, and they want to learn them too, and their mouths will move a little as they're trying to learn the words. This is all good stuff. This is exactly what we're wanting. They're starting to take an interest in songs and wanting to learn to sing. So you're going to see that. So then we go into our Bible story. Before we start our Bible story, I want to say this whole thing precedes that we have a special place that we've designated as Bible time. Maybe it's a cozy spot on the rug, but the kids will know when they come into class, it's time for Bible, and we go sit in our special spot. And so that's where we start our day. And they know they're gonna get to hear the stories, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just a special comfy spot. So find a place on a rug somewhere that's your special Bible time corner. And so we will say our prayer, our Bible song, and then before we get into our Bible story, we have, so this is our big book of Bible cards. It will have all the pictures that you're going to use, but on the front, I've copied for you the Bible time poem. So we're on our comfy spot in the rug, we've opened in prayer and song, and now it's time for the Bible lesson. But we want to set the tone, and what better way than a poem? So we'll bring an actual Bible, and I'll have one in there, and you'll say, do you know what book this is? That's right, this is the Bible. And the first time through the poem, you'll hold your Bible and recite the poem one time. So let's say I'm doing that with a Bible, let's pretend. And I'll say, here is our Bible, its stories are true for me and for you. Quiet, so quiet, we all now will be. Listen, a story and pictures you'll see. And then this is a finger play, so I'll show you the motions. Here is our Bible, its stories are true for me and for you. Quiet, so quiet, we all now will be. Listen, a story and pictures you'll see. And so that is how we can open our Bible time together. And so then let me show you how the Bible stories work. There are pictures that correspond to the card. There will be a little, it's like a book holder where you can just put the card and it will sit, so you don't have to have your hands, but for the video, I'll be holding hands and showing the card. So lots of words on this. Depending on the maturity level of your students, you probably don't want to read all of them. So you'll just make that judgment call based on kind of the feedback you're getting from your students. And listening to longer things is a stamina that gets built up in children over time. So in the beginning, this is true of kindergartners, first graders, second graders, it takes them time to get to where they can listen to more words without a picture. And it depends on how much reading they do at home. So again, it's just a stamina that eventually, in the beginning of the year, I see lots of fidgeting, squirming, turning around in chairs. But by the end of the year, even little 4-year-olds can sit for a longer period of time without a picture so frequent. So we've got 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. We're gonna just base and see how we do. Close your eyes. What do you see? Nothing, just darkness. Now open your eyes. A long time ago, there were no trees, and there was no flowers, and no stars, and no animals, and no people. There was just God. God always lived. And God looked down from his home in heaven and said, I'm going to create a world. Create means to make something out of nothing. So now at this point, I'm judging, like this feels long, and I'm sensing my students are, okay, they're ready for a picture. So I'm gonna skip the rest of what was there. At first there was darkness everywhere, and then it was very, very dark. And I'm gonna start to also ad-lib, because this is where you make it your own. I see what it's saying, and I'm going to just make it, this is what speaking is, make it your own and make it what you want. So I see what they're wanting me to talk about, and I'm gonna cover it, but I'm gonna use my own words a little bit to make it be me. So it's like when you're in your room and it's very dark. It was so dark. That's what it was like. And then one day God said, let there be light. And there was light. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So you can see we're not saying the whole Bible, but just bits of Bible verses are put in there in retelling of a story. On the second day, God made the sky and the water. Do you like water? Oh, I love water. Do you like to take a bath? Yeah, baths are fun. God made water on the second day, but God was not finished yet. On the third day, God made the dry land and the plants, and he spoke and said, let dry land appear. And the dry land pushed up through the water, and we call that land earth or dirt. And there were still no trees, flowers, or grass yet, just the dirt, which there's trees in this picture. Oh, because then he says, all right, then God spoke again and said, let the earth bring forth grass and trees and other plants. And suddenly there was grass and trees. And then I'm going to skip a little because I feel like this is too long for their age group. And God saw that it was good. What a wonderful God we have. He just spoke and created this beautiful world all around us. Then, oh, I got my cards mixed up. On the fourth day, God made the sun and the moon and the stars. Have you ever sang Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Stars? God made all these stars that we see at nighttime. God made them. And God knew that it was good. So I'm skipping a little to move it along. On the fifth day, God made the sea creatures and the birds. On day 5, so here I am showing them 5 fingers, that this is 5. More we can incorporate numbers, how many, this is all good, right? Language development. On day 5, God said, let the waters be filled with fish and all the creatures that live in the water. And all the fish and creatures that swam suddenly appeared in the water. And there were whales and dolphins and sharks and crabs and many different fish and all the creatures that live in the water. Then God said, let the birds fly in the sky. And suddenly there were birds everywhere. Every animal in the water and every bird of the air was created on day 5. On the 6th day, God created, where are we at? God created the animals. And this day, God rested. Now, just by nature, we don't always have to get through 2 lessons, but on day 1, we do need to get through the fall, which is 3 more pictures. So I'm gonna start to speed it up a little because I don't want to lose them. Again, I'm just gonna base it based on how they're at. I don't have a live audience right now. So we're gonna go with just what I would think like Alicia would probably handle, but we'll see how they do. So we do need to get through just on this one again because our curriculum is a little shorter. On day 1, we will get through part 1 and part 2, which typically would be split into 2 days, but I think they can handle 3 more cards. So on day 6, he made the animals. Then God made Adam and Eve. And I've got to get the cards all have the numbers in the bottom. So 2.1 is the start of part 2 lesson. The other cards go 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. The second lesson will start with 2.1. Then God made Adam special. Adam knew that he needed a helper and friend. So God made a wife for Adam. So this is Adam and this is Eve. And God caused Adam to go to sleep. And he took a rib out of Adam and he used that rib to make Eve. And he made them a beautiful home. And Adam named all the animals. He said, this one's a tiger and this one's a hummingbird. He gave them the names. What fun Adam must have had doing this job. But something very sad happened. Adam and Eve disobeyed God. God had one rule for them, and that was they were not to eat of the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They could eat from the fruit of all the trees in the garden, but not that one tree in the middle. And you can see here that one day Eve was walking and a snake, a serpent, told her and tricked her into disobeying God and told her to eat this fruit. And she ate it and she wasn't supposed to eat this fruit. God had told her no. So God said they had to leave the garden, and Adam and Eve were very sad because they did something wrong. They had to be punished and they had to leave the garden, and they would no longer be able to live in the garden. I'm sure many times Adam and Eve wished they had chosen to obey God instead of listening to the serpent. But they did not choose to. We need to ask God to help us to do right and to listen and not listen when others tell us to do things that are wrong. And then the next story next week will begin with Noah on week 2. So we finish with a Bible verse. Now, every week they'll go home with their own little Bible verse card. You have these bigger Bible verse cards. And so this would be week 1, and it's Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Genesis 1:1. There's a bit on the back if you want to talk about it, but I feel like we just talked about that. Sometimes the cards are not directly related to the story, but this one we just did. So being that it's day 1 and we had a little bit longer of a lesson, I'm going to skip just anything on the back here. But it's here if you want to discuss the verse a little bit. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Try and say it with me. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And I love hand motions with Bible verses up in, I mean, even when they get bigger, but definitely like even up through 3rd and 4th grade, I do hand motions with my kids. So whenever you can work that in, or whatever your flair is, feel free to add that. So they're going to say this verse a couple times. Next week, when they get their new verse, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and you'll talk about how there's no one else like you. And then in language development time, we'll learn about how special and unique we are and how God made us special. And then they'll have an art book where they're making, it's an art book about how special and unique we are. There is some on the back that you can talk about this, but it all relates together, which is so cool in the curriculum. But on week 2, you'll introduce this verse, but we'll also review this one. So we'll always be reviewing and introducing, so we keep our verses fresh. Expectations, I mean, there's really not any, but some of the kids are going to know them. Their parents can, it's on the curriculum to say their Bible verse every day. I mean, it takes 2 seconds. So we'll just see what they can do and what they can remember. And some weeks, like on week 3, they will have a little bit of art they'll do. So there's a Noah's Ark art for the Bible lesson. I just want to introduce one last thing. This is not part of our curriculum this year. It's optional if parents ever ask. It would be for 3-year-olds, but it's a Bible coloring sheet. So let's say after the lesson we just learned, they would have this at home. We wouldn't ever do this in class, but it would be another sheet they could do when they ask for schoolwork. It can remind them that God made all the animals and they can color it. And then for week 2, we'd have Noah obeyed God. And so it goes with what we've taught. I did get it for Alicia just because I was making the order. It's one part of the curriculum we won't have at Cottage School, but it is an offer for parents if they want to get it on their own. So next year we can offer that as part of the package deals that they buy. So that is it for Bible. And then we transition into finger play time. So poem and finger play time. So this is the book for that. It's called Poems and Finger Plays, and it's organized by the letters of the alphabet. So on the first page, page 2 and 3, we have about 6 different poems. And we're going to focus on just one, which is Apple Tree. And you are welcome to read others depending on time or if the kids are really liking it, but at least try and get the one that I have in the curriculum. And then if there's more you want to get to, that's great. This one is Apple Tree. Way up high in the apple tree, 2 little apples smiled at me. So it tells me in the poem to point up in the air, smile, and touch my lips. So let's do that again. Way up high in the apple tree, 2 little apples smiled at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. They were good. You're gonna feel silly. Like I feel silly looking at the video saying it, but you just have to remember, like they love it. They just absolutely love it. So just look at preschool as a silly time where you just get to be silly. On our Mom's Day, happened to be today, I was introducing this curriculum to get them, and their eyes were just lighting up, and they were like, oh, I wish my child who's too old for preschool could go through this. So I think in our heart, like we all know this is just what preschoolers need. So just be okay with feeling a little silly, singing silly songs and acting a little silly, because the preschoolers just love it. So we would say it again, probably 2 times through. And then if you wanted to even do like ants. All right, listen to this one, guys. Ants. Slowly, slowly crawl the ants, following the leader. Quickly, quickly run the ants. Here comes the anteater. And then there's just other, that one wasn't one that had motions, but I made them up. And there's animal play that has hop on both feet, run in place. So there's different things. They're gonna really enjoy this time. It's just a short 5-minute time, but it's sort of a transition time from we were just doing our Bible time to now we're gonna stand, and now we're gonna go to our seat for our language and development time. So that will be the next little. Okay, so now I'm gonna go over the language and development time. And from this point forward, I'll be teaching from the week 3 curriculum because weeks 1 and 2 are much more condensed. They're allowing for the transition time of students being totally new and just getting used to just even sitting down, following directions, what preschool is gonna look like, just kind of getting them in that transition. So the first week, there is no, let me just remind myself, there's no poems and finger plays, and there's no letters and sounds time. So it's a much shorter, than everything else. Yeah, and no craft. So it's much more condensed. So things will start to just add a little bit at a time until week 3, we're kind of full throttle in a sense. I mean, everything's so short and just meant for 3s. But these are our language development cards. On the front are just some samples of different pictures that they'll have. And they're just a chance to talk about things that don't normally occur in your house that you'd have to have seen or whatever for them to learn that vocabulary. So it's just an opportunity to talk about that. So week 3, when the phonics begin, we go week by week with a new letter. So A, B, C, and then based on our Excelsior, when we have a break, the week after a break is a review week. You're welcome. And those weeks will not be teaching any new material. You'll just have a review of what they've learned in past, which is great because review is always a really good thing, and also takes a load off of you because it's not that these are hard, but just you won't have to teach any language development cards. You won't have to teach a new letter. It'll just be simple review, like review games and review worksheets. So apples is our first card. Now, how to talk about the apples is in this language and development book that I've put in a yellow binder. And so the card on the bottom tells me apples is card 6. So you would go to where it tells you card 6, and there is more information than you need. And they intend that. Like apples be this whole page, and then sometimes there's a poem that they work in. There's a apple poem. And so there's a lot. There's more than you should do, really. It's designed to give you more content on the review weeks should you want to review apples on week 8 when there's a review, or just the maturity level. Some students will not do much. It just depends on what we've got, and we're fine with that. So, what color are apples? Most of the children will say red. And you could even bring some apples to class. So this is start planning future forward. It says, pull the red apple out of the bag. So let's say we brought some apples that day. That might be fun. You're right, but apples can be other colors too. And you can pull like a green apple out. So these are some fun things we can do. And then display them on the table. What is inside an apple? An apple's peel keeps the delicious fruit inside, just like your skin keeps you covered. And I would have the stand again, so I don't have to hold it, but for the video I do. And so you can read through, like, where do apples come from? And so again, I'm gauging them. Am I starting to see fidgeting where they're looking around and they're not interested? Or are they still engaging with this card? If they're beginning to disengage, that's usually my cue with toddlers that it's time to move on. The poem is cute in here. Apple. Apple in a tree. God made apples and God made me. Pick them, wash them, and I'll make an apple pie for you. Oh, I forgot, it didn't rhyme. Pick them, wash them, peel them too, and I'll make an apple pie for you. Thank you, God, for fruit so sweet. Apple, what a treat. Apples red and apples green. Apples yellow I have seen. Apple in a tree. God made the apples and God made me. So that could be a cute way to end it. And there's 2 more cards this week. Ants, which is fun. learning about ants, how ants are helpers, and it goes into the body parts of ants. Maybe too much for our group, you can judge, but they'll think this is fascinating. And then we'll even talk about astronauts, and they'll see these things on their language development. Their child art cards is what they're, or sheets. The child art for 2s and child art for 3s will come in the next segment, and they will they will complement with what they've learned. And so we learn about astronauts. And who is this? This is an astronaut. Astronauts are people who explore outer space. Where is outer space? Outer space is far above the cards, out to the blue sky, where we see the stars at night. So again, I have a whole page here. If I'm seeing the kids start to walk away or we can try a little bit to bring them back in. Remember, this is just week 3 at this point. We can bring them back in. Let's sit down. We're almost done, and then be almost done, and finish up with, something else about astronauts, probably because we've asked them to obey us. So let's sit down and listen to one more thing, and then we do it, and then we're ready to excuse. So we can take our cues from them. So that's our language development cards. From after this, we go into our child art time, if there is child art time. This particular week, week 3, there wasn't any child art, so we wouldn't. And it will tell you in the language development section what art cards or what language development cards to pull, and if there is any child art sheets, which there is not this week. Then we go into our letters and sounds. And so I will do that in the next video. So in this segment, I'm going to talk about how to teach the letters and sounds to our 3-year-olds. Now, our 2-year-olds can be free playing at this time, or they may just want to listen and get a very gentle introduction with no expectations. But it's certainly a good time for them to be learning too. So we always start with saying the ABCs, and we go slow through L, M, N, O, P. It can be so easy to say L, M, N, O, P, and the kids don't hear the distinct sound. So L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Okay, so that's how we do that. Then we go into the actual phonics time. So the curriculum guide will tell you what letter we're on, but it just builds incrementally. So we're starting with A. So these are our letter picture flashcards. There's 8 steps in the phonics system, and if you forget them or want to revisit, the curriculum tells you to refer back to pages 9, and that will tell you the 8 steps again. And the curriculum just tells you which boxes to check, so you just kind of, if you're following the boxes, you won't miss it anyway. But if you're like, what does that box mean? What is the letter picture flashcards? You can go back and see the little blurb about what they are and how to use these. And that's what this video is showing you. So the first is step 1, to learn the letter. Capital A, lowercase a. Capital A, lowercase a. And so we're reiterating the differences of them. Look at the capital A. It has a big, tall point, and he has a belt in the middle. You can say things like that to help them remember a little bit, but right now what we're just kind of hoping is that they're starting to see that A has 2 ways it can look. We're going to call it, for continuity, we'll call it capital A and little a, which is how the curriculum delineates. I think when we ask them, which one's the little a, they can usually figure out which one's the little letter versus saying lowercase. So capital A and little a. Then we're going to learn the sound sentence. This is step 2. A says ah, 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 ah. And sometimes you can point to your mouth just to show them where the sound is coming from. A says ah, 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 ah. And that's how we say our sound sentence. And we're going to have them recite with me. Say it with me. A says ah, 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 ah. When we do consonants, those are not vowel sounds like M, L. Make sure that we don't put any vowels attached to them. So P isn't P. When you put like a U, if you say P, it's really a P and a U. We're just saying P. So try and make sure that our consonants stay clear with no vowels attached. So one more time in the sound sentence. A says ah, 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 ah. B would say, B says B, 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 B. Okay, so that is our sound sentence. Then we're going to do a quick review, step 3. So what is this letter? Capital A. And what is this letter? Little a. And what do they say? Ah. Let's do a sound sentence. A says ah. Ah, ah, ah. And that's all we do for these. Oh, it's not. Then there's the back sides, which have some pictures. And these are fun. Kids love pictures. So sometimes it will be simple, like it'll be a bear and you're learning B and it starts with a B. Other times they're wanting you to start developing the sound of listening for where the sound, the vowel is in the word. So that's what these ones are doing. So we would show them the picture of a cat. Look at this cat. Let's see if we can hear the ah sound. And I'm really going to enunciate it. Cat. Do you hear the ah sound? We have an ah in this word cat. Cat. Look at this one. Flag. We have an ah in flag. Flag. And enunciate it. Hat. H, at. Hat. There is an A in hat. They're not going to, this is the beginning. It's just the beginning of learning, so they're not going to have it yet. So don't expect it to be overnight. It's all repetition. Everything in learning is repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition is where we gain our mastery. Then we go on to step 5, and this is very fun. We have an animal card. Now, before I go on to say anything, I want to say strategy-wise, it's such a blessing we have multiple teachers. As one teacher is teaching something, the next teacher can look ahead to the curriculum and see what's coming up and have it prepped and ready. So whoever is doing the phonics lesson, the letters and sounds lesson, there should be someone else who is prepping the 3-year-old's writing portion of the phonics. And it's really not writing, we aren't writing quite yet, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So someone's prepping that. Whoever did Bible, that next person is prepping if there's a Bible art, they're prepping that, or they're prepping the poem, perhaps the language and development visuals, they're pulling those. So these are things that we can do as a team together. And certainly we can take breaks in between. If we're down a man, we have absentees, we can totally take a break and let free play happen while we prep the next thing. Strategies, lots of those. Okay, so we're on step 8 now, and we're going to introduce the animal letter flashcard. They will be seeing these in their worksheets. So I'm going to give you just a quick preview. Well, this is what we call the animal letter flashcard. In this, our first one, it's A. And you'll remember in language development visuals, we learned astronaut, ant, and what was the other one? Y'all are remembering it right now, I'm sure. They all go together. It's the A sounds. We read the A poems, so they're really hitting it a lot, and it goes together really well. And we're going to see a lot of the same things we already talked about. Apple was the first one, right? So we've already learned about apples, and we've learned about Adam. We haven't quite learned about Africa yet, but we will in time. Astronaut and acrobat. So this is how this works. The first thing we do is we show the card, and they're going to think it's so neat. Every week they get to see a new animal and learn his name and learn some things to talk about. So we say first we say, this is Alexander Alligator. There's our capital A and our lowercase a. Let's look at these pictures on the side. We have A in apple, A in Adam, A in Africa, A in astronaut, and A in acrobat. Now, the whole back side is a ton of things to talk about. I would say on week 1, I probably would not do a ton of it. But there's a fun little story about Alexander Alligator as they gain stamina. We talked about when they can listen to longer periods of time. There was a fun little story. Alexander Alligator wears a happy grin, starting at his ear holes and reaching to his chin. When Alexander Alligator was just a baby, he was only as long as your daddy's hand. He looked like a little lizard, but he grew much, much larger. He now is as long as your bed. He's not very tall, but he's certainly long. And it goes on to talk all about alligators, and Mrs. Alligator waited many weeks for her babies to hatch. And so it goes on to talk about alligators. It's really good. And depending on the interest level, they may listen and think about all that. So you just play it by ear and see, looking for the fidgeting signs, like are we keeping their attention, or are they about ready to be done? So then we will sing, once we've talked about some of these things and they have an understanding, like we could at least describe alligators a little bit, right? That they live in a swamp and they lay eggs, and they'll probably notice the teeth, and I'm sure my 3-year-old will have lots to say about how they can bite you, and you know, like she knows what an alligator is. They're gonna want to talk about it. Then we can talk, there's bold words on the back that you might want to introduce some vocabulary. So in that Alexander Alligator story, if you were reading it, they might say, Alexander Alligator and his 40 brothers and sisters were ready to hatch, and that word is in bold. That means that's probably not in their vocabulary, and you may want to discuss it. Alexander Alligator likes to bask in the sun on cool mornings. Bask means he likes to lay out in the sun and take in the sun and be nice and warm. So you'll want to describe those words for them because they're intentionally introducing new vocabulary. So I think these stories are really great. But again, just like the language and development, they give you more than you need. So based on what is interesting to you, what would be fun for you, and what you think your class would like, choose, the information that will work for you. Did you know an alligator will replace a tooth? If it falls out, a new one will grow back. Like interesting things that they'll go home and tell mom about. These are fun. Just fun little facts are on there. But let's go ahead and sing the song now. Oh, 1 second. Okay, so let's go ahead and sing the song. So there's a CD, and it has all of the different songs, and eventually you may not even need the CD because they're all the same. It's to the tune of Are You Sleeping? So it goes like this. Alexander Alligator, Alexander Alligator, A says ah, 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 ah. Apple, Atom, Africa, astronaut and acrobat, A says ah, 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 ah. So it incorporates that sound sentence again, and it has a fun little song to Are You Sleeping, Brother John? So this is our animal alphabet flashcard. Then it just keeps getting more fun. I'm going to introduce you to some friends right now. So we have Amber Lamb. Now Amber Lamb is going to be our friend for teaching phonics. And Button Bear is our teaching for numbers. So these are our friends for letters and sounds, we call it, and numbers. And then we have a sidekick friend, Katie Cat. Now Katie Cat will show up in the stories growing up with Amber Lamb. So she only ever shows up sometimes in those stories, and she's like Amber Lamb's friend. So we don't see too much of Katie Cat. But as a fun reward, I want to show you. Amber Lamb is going to be introduced during this time. They won't know who she is yet, except Alicia will. I want to tell you something fun about Amber Lamb, is that she has been in our family for 11 years. Now, not this puppet, but when I was a very frugal, I still am a frugal, but I had to be a very frugal mama, very intentionally. These puppets were $32, and I was like, they're made of felt. I can make this. So Katie Cat, being the sidekick that she was, she really never got a lot of play. So this is the original Katie Cat, and she was glued together. There are no stitch marks. She's coming apart a little bit. I might need to get Eden to fix this. Eden is my seamstress. So sadly, in my recent purging efforts, the original, and they needed to go, but the original Button Bear and original Amber Lamb got thrown away. And so Eden was so amazing, and she's learning how to sew, and she made me a new Amber Lamb, and I tell you what, they look just like the catalog. She took the picture off the catalog and made one. And look, she was learning how to do the rickrack sewing settings. I mean, it's super cute. She put pockets on the back of Button Bear, and she's gonna make me one more big pocket for him. So as you're learning to count, you can put beans in his pocket. Okay, we're learning the number 4. Put 4 beans in his pocket. Who wants to help me? 1, 2, and you could put him in his pocket. But here's the really fun thing. As Amber comes to teach the lesson, we're gonna introduce her, and she's gonna, hi everyone. Now, again, I told you, you're gonna just feel silly, but embrace the silliness because the preschoolers love it. It's totally okay to be goofy, and just know that none of your peers are judging you, and it's It's for the kids. So just be silly. If you've never done puppets with your children, they love it. My kids, when Amber Lamb and Button Bear made this like resurfacing, they were like, we remember Amber Lamb and Button Bear, and they had like all these memories from when they were like 3 and 4, and I used to do these little puppets. And when we do growing up with Amber Lamb later, I'll show you, like, they'll help tell the story, be like, oh yeah, this is what happened. And I'll tell you, they are not watching your mouth. So you're like, I need to be a ventriloquist. No, you don't. Your mouth can totally move while you're doing the puppet. And they are fully engaged in the pretend play. Little children love pretend play. They are not expecting you to be a professional ventriloquist at all. So when you are speaking, they are not staring at you to see if your mouth is moving. No, they're fully engaging with Amber Lamb and loving every minute of her and waiting for her to come out again. And so she's kind of like a Disney character. It's like super special. Like, oh, I get to go see the princess, or Goofy's there at 1 o'clock only. Like, Amber Lamb comes out for certain times, and it's super exciting when she comes out. So she may, I don't know if we'll do a pocket with her, but she gets to teach the phonics. So she'll come out and say, hey kids, I have someone super special I want you to meet now, and she's gonna help us learn the letter A. Are you guys excited? She's really shy. She's never done this before with you guys, and she's just really shy. So can you guys clap and help her come out? Okay, here she is. Oh, she's so shy. Oh my goodness, it's okay. It's okay, Amber. Amber, I want to introduce you to our new friends. Oh, everyone, this is Amber Lamb. Amber, can you say hi? Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Lamb. I want to help teach the letters today. Amber is going to be coming every single week, and she's going to help us learn the letters. Okay, Amber, let's learn the letter A. Okay. Do you mind if we put the letter A on your dress? Okay. Who would help me put the letter A? And this is where you can get the students involved. Okay, so what is this one called? Amber, do you know? Oh, I know what that letter is called. Do you guys know? And maybe someone will raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand. Okay, and call on the student. Oh, what is this, a capital A or a little a? Oh, capital A. Okay, well, come put it up on Amber's dress. And so felt sticks to felt super easily. Isn't that the funnest thing? And so both the letters will stick on her dress. And this is actually super cheap felt, and I was very concerned it would not stick on her dress. We also now have a felt board, which I'll show you in the number and counting time. But it's just fun. Like, my 4-year-old and 3-year-old were playing with the felt board and putting the different animals on it. So it's fun for just fun play, but it also is good for counting. You can count things and put them on the felt board. And we can do letters on the felt board. So we have lots of options. And this is just gonna, like, the icing on the top. We haven't yet finished this, but this little contraption will go on the back of her head. We wanted to have it on her hand, so you squeeze her hand, but her hand needs to bend, and it wouldn't be great. So it's gonna go on her ear. So they will squeeze her ear when you want for a short little reward. And this is what it might sound like. One more time. So that is Eden, and she is the voice of Katie Cat. And so that would be maybe if you want to do Katie Cat. We have like the 3 Little Mittens. We have some of the, like, 6 of the Bible verses they're learning. She also does a different cat poem. So Katie Cat will have lots of fun little things. She'll say, meow, great job. And like, just, there's a lot of different tracks on there that we uploaded. The only thing that I don't know why is sometimes you have to click it 2 to 3 times to get the thing to go. So say, okay, squeeze your ear one more time. Okay, one more time. I don't know why, but I don't know why. I'm gonna email the developer and figure out why. Button Bear will do like the Teddy Bear's Picnic. He's gonna have his own different songs. There's this funny one that came on it that was yodeling. We're gonna have that on there. Clapping. Amber Lamb will have Baba Black Sheep, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and then Bible verses too. So they'll have just a fun thing to listen to. They'll be so excited to squeeze her ear. And they only make certain appearances, so it's very exciting when they come. So Amber Lamb has now taught her part of the lesson, and we have tied it all together. And actually step 7 was where we were supposed to sing the song, which we already sang it we would pull this back out and we would sing the song, because now we've learned the vocabulary, we've thoroughly learned the letter. So the last thing is we're going to tie it together with a bow, which is sing the song. Alexander Alligator, Alexander Alligator, A says ah, 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 and then say all the songs to Are You Sleeping, Brother John? So that was actually supposed to be step 7. That's fine. Step 8 is a learning game to reinforce. And there's lots of these. These are so much fun. If you're short on time, you don't have to do it, but review is always so good. And as you get more letters, this will be the time to review multiple letters. So you might say, so how this works is there's a magnet board, and this magnets to the board. And then these little eggs and chickens have magnets on the back of them. And this seems basic, I know, but I have used this with all of my children, like up through 2nd and 3rd grade. They love these games. They seem so basic. There's one where you put like different outfits on a bear. There's so many, like give the dog a bone. Like they're simple, but just the idea that you get to be a person who goes up and puts something where you want to put it, like where you want the egg to go. They love it. I can't tell you how much they love it. So you'll have your little flashcards. You could use these cards, the letter picture cards, and say, okay, which one is the little B? You might be learning B and A, or I should just stick with the ones we're on. You could just say, okay, we're reviewing. Which one is the little A? And they pick it, and if they're wrong, still let them put one up. Like, no, it's this one. And they come up and they put their egg on the board. And then maybe we're in week 2 and we've learned these ones now. And so you can mix a little more in. Okay, which one is the capital B? And then they can come up and put an egg. So we can review with a game. So far we've learned the sound of the letter, A says ah. We've learned the shape of the letter, capital A and little a. So we've learned the sound and the shape, and now it's time for writing. So this whole portion is probably best done sitting already, having them sit in their chairs. If you are teaching where someone's back would be to you, they'll just learn that they turn their chair around for this instruction time. And the instruction time will go much quicker because obviously I'm teaching you right now and talking a whole bunch, but this won't be that long of a lesson really. So at this point you say, okay everyone, it's time to turn our chairs back around. So stand up and turn your chair around if that is how you need to do it. I don't know the dynamics of the tables and we'll see how we do that. But they'll turn their table around. And again, this whole thing is for the 3-year-olds. So the 2-year-olds are welcome to listen and come sit, but the 3-year-olds are the only one that have a letters and sounds booklet because they're the ones who are ready to start learning some sounds. So there's 2 pages every week. So this is the first one. It has what you would think is they're supposed to trace it, but no, we're not ready at 3-year-olds with the dexterity to write yet. That is not expected of them. That is not part of the scope and sequence. We're not ready for that. So the curriculum manual will tell you to glue something on it or use the glitter glue pens or use stickers to put on it. I think week 1 was just glue scraps, tiny scraps of green construction paper. And then at home, so we have A for apple. At home, they're gonna review with their mom Alexander Alligator. So they get to see him again at home and remember him at home. So this page will go home with them, and the curriculum manual tells you what's going home. You'll see these sheets will all be set out. It will tell you which sheet you're doing on the Monday, and then it won't say to do the other because it will show you the other one is for Friday. So you will just send them home. We'll have the moms bring a backpack or a book bag, just something that you can slip their craft in and slip their at-home sheets. So they'll do this one in class and glue whatever to it, and then at home they'll do this one. Week B, they'll do the butterfly and glue something to it or stickers or something, and then at home they'll have Betsy B. So every week they're just reinforcing the things they've learned. So you can see how it all is starting to tie together. From the astronaut we learned in the language development visuals, we learned about the apple, then we learned the sound of A, and we've already said some A poems. We learned about Adam. All of these things are starting to tie together. And even if they aren't completely realizing it, it's happening around them. Okay, so that is the language and development time. Oh, I went a little fast through it. I do want to say a few more things. There is, when they're learning this page with you, it would be this one on week 3, day 1. They're learning this. It shows you the correct formation. You may want to write that on the board. We want to begin to teach them the correct formation of the letter. If you're not sure exactly the way to do an A, the back of this animal alphabet card shows you the arrows on these big guys. So that will always show you the way. So we go this way, and give them a belt. We have some really neat sandpaper cards where the kids can take a turn with their fingers, or they can certainly just on their paper with their finger trace. We're beginning to see the way that these are made by doing the correct formation. You can demonstrate on the whiteboard, but just be sure to have them follow the correct way. We see this all the time in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, poor writing habits where they're going the wrong way on the letters, and it badly affects their cursive because cursive is moving in a certain direction counterclockwise, and going the wrong way, it just makes writing harder. So we want to just have them begin good habits all the time. They're little, but they can learn good habits. And yes, we only do, I said all of that. 2s, again, can draw or do free play during phonics time. So we always have extra paper. They can color and do their own drawings. If we're doing glue, they can certainly glue. How do you glue with 2s and 3-year-olds? Let's talk about that. So the best way is you have a giant box of small little cups, and you can put a little bit of glue in the cup, and then Q-tips are going to be your friend. And they can dab a little glue on the Q-tip, and then, because they do not possess the ability to squeeze a bottle yet, you could squeeze it all on the A for them, but it's part of the process for them is to dab the glue on there. It's really part of the process. So they'll dab their little glue on the A and on the other one, and then they can glue their little pieces of paper on the A or whatever it calls for that week. Some weeks it's at home, it's like unpopped popcorn, or glue like a seed on there or something. Like there's all stickers, there's glitter glue, there's so many different things that they have them do that are very creative. And again, it's nice because I didn't have to think it all up, it was already in the curriculum. But here's one thing we have to think about is how will they get the glue off their fingers, because it's going to happen. Do we have baby wipes? Yes, we have baby wipes. Will they wash their hands at the sink? Yes, we have that. So we need to teach them like how it's okay and like what the process is. So just have that ready, because if you don't have all these thought out, the preschoolers will think it out for you, whether it's wiping on shirt or whatever. They will find their own way. If you don't have the Q-tips ready, it's finger in the glue. So just be prepared. And this is, again, while one teacher is teaching Amber Lamb and doing this, the other teacher can be prepping for the next thing that's coming. And we will teach them where to, when they're done, walk their papers and set their papers to dry. This is teaching them responsibility. Manners is all part of the curriculum, saying please and thank you when appropriate, raising hands, not speaking out of turn. So if you don't have a plan, they will come up with one. And preschool is all about habit forming. That's one of the biggest things we're doing. So this is the time where they'll have an outside break. They've done a lot of learning. If you hadn't had breaks by now is the time when they'll have a formal outside play break. And it is 40 minutes, and they should bring a snack. Remind moms to bring waters and snacks. If they've forgotten, you can text them or have a runner downstairs go ask them, another mom who's not doing something, did you have a snack or water? Because likely they do and forgot it. That's me all the time. Don't forget to take a head count of the students before you leave the classroom. So you always know we've got 5 today. We've got 5. We had 6 last time, but we've only got 5 today. Every teacher at any moment should know how many kids are down at the preschool playground. The preschool playground is where you really want to be because it's got those closed-in fences. If you do the main jungle gym, just again, constantly vigilant. It's harder, it's scarier because they are putting fences up eventually. I keep hearing they're going to redo the grass, all these things. But the preschool playground is closed in, so that's easier. I recommend that one. Never take students to the bathroom without all preschoolers on duty acknowledging who is here and who has left. So it's a, hey, so-and-so, I'm taking these 2 to the bathroom. Bathroom policy is always 2 students, at least, to 1 teacher. So you might as well ask them all, if they need to go to the bathroom, work your bathroom breaks in, so it's not like onesie always having to go. You have bathroom breaks worked in. And then always, again, 2 students, even if the second one doesn't need to go, buddy is coming along, 2 students to 1 teacher. Okay, and that is the end of our letters and sounds time. So during traditional play time, or during outside play time, take the opportunity to spend at least 5 to 10 minutes doing a traditional game. The curriculum will suggest one, but like Ring Around the Rosies, London Bridge is Falling Down, Follow the Leader, even just like, let's try and balance on one leg, or even a hop. I've seen 2-year-olds that haven't yet learned how to hop. I mean, this is something new, and it's like, how do I make both my feet go at the same time? So these are fun, gross motor skills that we can work on during the game time. So after outside play, we'll come back in the classroom. They'll have run around for a good long time, and it's nice to come back into a story time, a read aloud and sing time. So we'll start with a nursery song. So remember that week 3 we were learning about A says ah. They will come in and sing An Ant is Such a Tiny Thing. And this CD, this track, let me grab it real quick, is called Fun Songs with the Lord, Fun Songs for Little Ones. And there is for both of the Bible songs, the Sing Unto the Lord for little ones, I don't know what, and this one, there is a songbook for both of them. So you don't have to know the songs. You probably know Jesus Loves Me, but there may be other ones you don't know. And I did not know the ant song, so there will be the page number in there for you. And so you can sing it along with it. And it's something like, an ant is such a tiny thing. I wonder if an ant can sing. She hurries here and hurries there. An ant can go most anywhere. And there's 3 verses for that song. It's very short. So it's just a fun little song. And again, all of it goes together. They learned about the ants and the language and development visuals. They're just gonna sing an ant song, and that kind of like brings them back in. So you have your Bible area. When you come back in from break, and again, little kids are such, like they crave habit and structure and routine. So they do thrive in it, is what I'm trying to say. So when they come in from break time, they're gonna know where they go for a song, and maybe it's the Bible story time. Maybe that's just where they know to go in. But they're gonna come back in and sit down, and they're gonna sing their song, and then they're gonna go into story time, which we have 2 stories that we do. So we'll do that song, and they'll be sitting down, and remind them to cross their legs. No one's standing up, or no one on their knees, and the person behind can't see. Let's sit on our bottoms, teach them to cross their legs. And then they will have a Growing Up with Amber Lamb. So in the curriculum, it will tell you whether the story features only Amber Lamb, or if we've got Katie Cat in there too, or we have a showing of Button Bear. So this is an exciting time that maybe the puppets come, optional, up to you to help you tell the story. This is a big book. This can sit though on the book stand to help you hold it. And this is a character development. So this is manners and character development, like doing the right thing in the right situation, in the situations, and also just having nice manners. That's what this one really focuses mostly on, character development. And then we also will have, Memoria Press gives us a book list for 3-year-olds of really wonderful board books. Board books are the books that have like, it's all cardboard pages. And so we have those sectioned out, and on the bind it will tell you which week they go with, and also it will be in the curriculum. So you'll know to read what page in this, and if there is a board book that week, it will tell you which book it is, and you'll know because the bind will tell you what week. We have a little sticker on the side that says 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 33. So I'm going to show you an ant. And so they just learned about ants and language development visuals, and then Amber Lamb is going to hear a story, and we have already introduced Amber Lamb. Like I'm going to show you a little bit. Like she's going to meet her new friend Button Bear. So that will be the first time they've heard about Button Bear, Amber's new friend. We'll meet Katie Cat the next week and get to introduce her as Amber's classroom. Let's see. And it does go a little bit out of order just because, remember, I was condensing it, so I had to do the stories to what worked with the letters. So week 3, we've skipped a couple stories, but we will come back and hit them. Annie Ant, the Hard Worker. So they'll learn about an ant and what hard workers ants are. And there's always a little Bible verse on the side. Go to the ant, consider her ways and be wise. Proverbs 6:6. That's funny, they put ... where it would normally say, go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, but they took out the you sluggard. That's fine. Okay, so we'd read that, and then that week, the story to read would be The Very Busy Spider. That one is by Eric Carle, if you've ever read that one. So that would be the board book you would read next. So that's a really short little read aloud time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Then we go into numbers time, and so that will be our next segment of video. Okay, so this is the last teaching portion. Actually, I think we will cover crafts in just a smidge of a portion, but this is the last main segment of the academic time. So we've just finished our song and story time, and so now we're gonna move to our desk. Okay, students, it is time to do numbers with Button Bear. So let's go sit at our desk and learn about a number today. So the first thing we'll have them do, okay, so everyone, some people are sitting in their chairs. All right, everyone stand up because we are going to clap and count. So remember, the goal for 3-year-olds is to learn to count to 35 in correct order and sequence. The goal for 2s is to learn to count to 30 by the end of the year. So we will just start with the first 5 weeks. We'll start with 1 through 5 because you need at least 5 numbers to really count. Counting just 1 on week 1 isn't too much of a count. So most of them can probably do 1 to 5. And so they'll learn quickly. So you can have them clap and count, 1, 2, and count, okay? Or we can march and count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can something standing and active, and then we'll sit. So the first 6 weeks is going to be habit training as they're learning this. We are only counting numbers 1 through 5 in the beginning, like I said. So by the end, we'll get higher. Optional to mix it up. We can also show the sandpaper numbers. We're going to go into the next segment, which is the Abeka counting cards. So we're doing the letter A, so that would have been week 3. So I'll just pretend this numbers lesson is week 3 too. So by this point, they've already learned number 1. So we'll say, we have learned 1, and we learned 2, but this week we're going to learn a new number, 3. Look how we write a 3. We start here and we go whoop, we go in, and one more time. This is the number 3. And we might have them try on the sandpaper letters, or actually our numbers, and actually that might be better for when they actually are at their seat work. Just keeping their attention right now. But here's the fun part, we flip it over and we can, this is where they might even like to say it, but we're gonna now flip the card over and learn the concept of the number. So we've seen the number. This is where we're gonna train them when we're doing the clapping. We're training them to stay with our voice and not go faster than you're clapping or marching. So they're listening and following cues, which is a new habit too. Then with these ones, we're really going to compliment them for their attention and keeping their eyes on the cards. Thank you, everyone. Eyes up here. Let's look. Let's just look right now. Good job. I see your eyes up here. Good job. You're watching good. I would want to say one more thing about the marching. It's good to count from 1 to 30, but you don't always have to do that. You could start at 10. That is a great skill to be able to start at 10 or start at 12 and be able to count to 30. So let's say it's week 18. You don't always have to start at 1. At week 18, you could start at 12 and say, today we're going to start our clapping at 12. 12, 13. So that's a good skill too. So just remember that you can mix it up in that way and teach them the skill of starting at a different number. Okay, so then we've clapped and marched and counted or whatever we did. Now we're doing the concept cards. We've taught 3. Let's look at the concept. So we can use a poem. That's fun. And this is what I'm teaching right now. I'm following in the teacher training of the curriculum manual you'll get. And in the curriculum, the weekly assignment, the daily, weekly lesson plans, in the weekly lesson plans, detailed weekly lesson plans, it will tell you and always remind you that if you need to, you can refer to page 12 instructions on how to teach the numbers lesson. But again, you can just check the boxes and it will remind you. But this little poem, Rickety Tickety, won't be in the weekly lesson plan. So that's something that you can go back to the teaching instruction if you want to remember this. But just fun little things that like trigger them, like, oh, this next thing is coming. And they love poetry, they love rhymes. They get so excited for things, these little things. They're just little things. But you say, rickety tickety, count with me. How many? And once they know what's coming, they'll even like to shout, owls do you see? So the poem goes, rickety tickety, count with me. How many owls do you see? 1, 2. And so if we did it with, I'm thinking these are a weasel. I don't know. Let's call him a weasel. Rickety tickety, count with me. How many weasels do you see? 1, 2, 3. So every card has a bit of excitement because it has a different picture on the back for their concept counting. And they'll get so excited to say the animal, and then you'll count the items on the back. Some more counting practice ideas. We have a drum in the classroom. You can count to the sound of a drum. You can practice counting objects. We have this really fun. So you certainly can just count beans, like for sure, as practice. We also have this fun felt board, and there is felt sea animals, and there's just felt objects like flowers and different shapes. But this is a fun free play toy, as long as they're gentle, because felt does tear, but felt sticks so easily, like anyone can do it. And it's fun because these are whales. This one is a tadpole. So there's lots of fun, different language development things. Again, higher concept animals that are not just typical animals, but there's dolphins and fish, different really fun things. So they love the felt board, and they can take turns putting one up as we count to 3. So that's an option for counting practice. And then we have we could do the counting games. I mean, this one is a great counting game as you're counting the eggs. That's a way. We've got lots of different games. Let's see. But just remind them to keep eyes facing forward at all times. Teachers chat facing forward, watching the kids, not facing each other. And yeah, so that helps them as they're learning to absorb this new information. Okay, just give me one quick second to get my paper. So this is the point in the instruction where you pull out Button Bear, because we did promise them that this was Button Bear number time, so they're super excited for that, so we can't disappoint here. So Button Bear will come out and he will teach his numbers, and he has red numbers. Let me grab them for you. And we'll have them sorted out. Because we're going up to 33, there's more than one set of the numbers, but I'm just gonna grab one out of the box, which happens to be 2. And Button Bear, they could have him stick the 2 on his pocket. And he will have a pocket that you can put beans in and things. You want to count that way as another way to count. So lots of different options that you can mix it up. And then he has his lovely red 2. Looks so nice on the blue, doesn't it? Just stands out so well and coordinates. He's so coordinated with his primary colors. He looks so good. So then Button Bear will teach that. And then they can squeeze his little ear if someone can tell us the number, or clap with their hands 2 times, or whatever a reward. Then we go into the learning numbers with Button Bear for 2s, or numbers and skills with Button Bear for 3s. And that is the name of the books. The sheets will already be pre-torn for you, but I want to show you what they look like. They're very simple ones, and the kids get so excited for their little numbers time. So this would be for the 3-year-olds, and the 3-year-olds have a little bit more of thinking involved with them. So they really get so excited, but they're a little bit more like, there's dot to dot. I'm I'm trying to show you here. So like this is, it's a later week. They've learned up to 5 at this point. So they can do a very simple dot to dot counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other days, their paper, this one has the beginning pages already torn out, but they would be coloring 5 animals. Color only 5 animals. So that's more of an advanced thing that you won't see, I think, as much on the 2s. The 2s would be very simpler, like 2 animals that you color. This is where I talked about how we are learning to color the correct color. We're reinforcing our color knowledge, that we're gonna color the red ant red. And there's, we wanna not scribble. I mean, they're 2 and 3, so they're going to scribble. Like, we get that, we know that's gonna happen, but just trying to reiterate not scribbling. So there was, what we can say for that is up and down, steady and slow, that's the way our crayons will go. They have triangular crayons at home. Again, everything we do, whether it's teaching the number or reminding them to color up and down, steady and slow, that's the way our crayons will go, is repetition. Repetition is the way to mastery. So Button Bear can walk around and give high fives, or you can press his little ear for a reward. And again, same as the letters and sounds, there almost always will be a paper that goes home with them. So they have a Thursday worksheet or whatever it's assigned for. And yep, I think the sequencing is the dot to dots. And you'll notice how the numbers will coordinate with their language development too. So it all, again, goes back together. They're hitting it several times. And yeah, so Button Bear will be our fun one to come around and help teach the lesson, but also to give high fives and reward. And so at this point we would go to music, and then lastly is craft time. And I'll just show you what that book looks like. Not all of them. You can choose to have these come unbound or bound. So these ones are unbound, so it's not actually a book. But the crafts are very simple. The first week we talked about how they'll be doing God, or the first craft they do is not on the first day, because remember, we're gently easing in. But they're gonna do a God made me booklet where their picture will go here, and they're gonna have their foot and hand on it. It will be a little booklet that they'll be able to take home, kind of as a keepsake of their first day of preschool. And it has, I'm how many years old, it will have a tape measure for how many years tall, I weigh how many pounds, we can bring a scale and put their birthday on it. Their birthday's in the manuals, so we know that information already. And then again, it coordinates, like Alexander Alligator is our craft for week 3 when we've learned about alligators. This particular week, I told you sometimes there will be a Bible art time. And so this is Noah's Ark, and there's a little bit of elastic that you make, and they make a Noah's Ark visor. They can wear that outside. It's pretty hot, so that will help shade their face, which is fun, but they just color it and says God took care of Noah, and they'll do this during Bible time. So sometimes there's 2 crafts, and one of them is for Bible time, the other time, and then this will happen at the very end of the day. They're making a little, I guess he's a puppet on the finger, a little finger Alexander Alligator puppet, I suppose. Get in the habit of always writing their names on everything. Like his name is on his belly, and any of their math pages, what I was just showing you, there's a name on it, and the one that goes home, just write their name anyway. Like even though they're not doing it with you, just get in the major habit of writing names, because they don't know whose is whose. And at the end of the day, we're not gonna know either. And we want to check every bag and figure out which one's missing something. So just always write the name. Before they even get into the craft and coloring or gluing or anything, write the name. That can be, again, another teacher who's prepping the next step. Or during your break, if they're doing free play, you can prep the next thing and write their names. And they're going to get in the habit. You can even begin to pass papers out they're going to get in the habit where they recognize their name. We won't ever expect them to write their name at this level, but they're going to notice and see the shapes of their names and which one has the longer name, and they'll start to know the first letter of their name. And they'll know, that's fine. As you're passing the papers out, they can grab the one that's theirs eventually, right? So that is the conclusion. That is the Abeka Preschool. I'm so excited to show you guys this, and I know that they're going to love it, and it's going to be just a great structure where we'll have some designated Bible time, still lots of free time, like tons of free play time in the 4 hours that we're together in the morning. And there'll be an additional free play time in the afternoon when they're when their big brothers and sisters are doing their own free play time. But they're gonna love our little fun puppets and the sounds they make and how they help teach the letters. Even at one point, there's a craft where they get to make their own Amber Lamb and Button Bear puppet, which is so fun. They'll get to have those at home. So I think this is going to be a real treat for them. They'll get their Bible time, their Bible verses. They'll be learning and going through songs in a really scheduled way where we're covering all of just the wonderful nursery rhymes and songs that we would want them to know, as well as offering and making available the practice of learning numbers, of counting, of learning letters and recognizing their shapes and hearing their sounds. So we're gonna be able to offer that for them at this level at 2s and 3s. And as God made them and God made their abilities, whatever they take in, they take in. It's kind of like when we do science experiments with a group of multi-ages. The little ones from a science experiment will gather colors. That blue and red makes purple. But the older kids will actually remember Newton's laws and learn the deeper concepts of what's going on behind the experiment. So everyone learning at their own level, taking in what God would have them take in, and we can just provide that opportunity for them in a really fun and engaging way that they're going to remember and love their whole life long. So thank you for going on this journey with me and listening to all this. I so appreciate you taking this time to just prepare for our upcoming school year, and I look forward to it, and we'll see you soon.